Oh man, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to this edition of the Fresh Perspective Podcast. We're on episode number 4. Episode number 4, and is an all to the mamas. I am your host, Ray Phillips, and my co-host is Tuck, and we welcome everyone to this special Mother's Day edition of our podcast. Take it from here, Tuck.
All right, so we're just going to jump right in and do our introductions, starting with, just the introduction of the moms, their names, and I don't want to give up a name, but their names and where they're from and how many children they have. Those are the questions that are on the floor right now, currently. So starting with, I just have to do it. Miss Dawn, I'm going to start with you, and then we'll go with my mom, Andrea. Sorry. I had to say your name too, but yeah, just reiterate your name, where you're from.
So you want to know where I'm from now or where originally I'm from?
You could do the origin. If you want to do it originally, that's fine.
Okay, well, my name is Dawn. I have 3 children, and originally I'm from Fernwood, Pennsylvania, but I've been residing in Wallingford, Pennsylvania for a little while.
Okay.
I'm Andrea. I have 2 wonderful sons, and I reside in Glen Olden.
Let's go to Christiana.
You got to start over. You were muted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I didn't mute myself.
I think so.
Okay. Hi, can you hear me? My name is Christiana Barber, and I live in Delaware County, and I have 3 amazing children. I have 2 girls and 1 boy.
Hey everybody, I'm Jantra. I grew up in West Philadelphia, but I'm not going to sing that song. And then I kind of moved out to Delaware County too. Spent a lot of time out here, and I am a new mama. I've got a 1-year-old baby boy.
Yay.
Who is bright and strong-willed and amazing, and I love him.
All right. That's a wonderful introduction. So just to jump right into our next line of questioning, I want to ask, what are for the mothers who are currently in the throes of having children, like small children, and kind of that tweener, I should say. What are some things that you miss from before childhood? I mean, before motherhood, I should say, that you were able to do, but maybe not so much so now. And then for the mothers that have adult children, what are some things that you have been able to do since your children have been adults? And what are some things that you look forward to continue doing now that your children are adults and don't really have to rely on you? Whoever wants to take this.
Yeah, anybody can start.
Okay, I'll jump in. One of the things that I miss the most, I think, is just to get up and go, because it's hard to get up and go with 3, small children, because you have to make sure everyone has what they need, and it's like a whole dramatization to get out the house. Did you go to the bathroom? Do you have socks on? Wear your shoes. Do you have your hat? Do you have your coat? So it's just not me getting up, let me just run out and grab something. It's like making sure everybody has what they need for the journey, to make it there and back. And I also miss naps.
I concur, Chris. Nap. I miss sleep. I just miss.
Yes.
I used to love sleep. I still love sleep. I definitely miss sleep and napping. With a baby, a 1-year-old, a toddler, you're just kind of like on their schedule. We were talking a little bit about the scheduling thing before, but it really is just shifting your whole life around a baby and making sure they have the sleep that they need and trying to manage your life around that. So I think that's what I miss. I've only been a mom for like a year and some change, but I think that's what I probably miss the most, pre-child life.
Hey, can you ask that question again?
Yes. For the mothers that have adult children, we were wondering, the question would be basically, what are some things that you looked forward to getting back in your life, as far as just things that you couldn't do while you were raising children that you were looking forward to after raising children? And then on top of that, what are some things that you were able to actually do? So things you look forward to gaining back in your life, but then some maybe things that are specific to just things that are of your interest, that you like to do, but it's hard to do when you're raising children.
Well, there wasn't like really too much I didn't want to get involved with in reference to raising my children. I felt like whatever they wanted to get involved with, that if I got involved with it, it would give us a connection that was different. Like cheerleading and football was something that me and my children definitely got involved with. But as an adult now, and my children being all grown up, I definitely would have did a lot more communication in reference to them being adults and growing up than I did. I wouldn't have just assumed that, they like this, they like that, maybe I should join in with it. I would have did more to find out what they really did, really what they really wanted to do to enjoy life. So I was young, and sometimes I tried to more so be my kids' friends than their parent to make it, understand what's going on in life. But hey, I think I did a damn good job.
Amen.
I agree.
I think for me, it's having grown children who left me.
Oh God, don't cry. It's a blessing when they leave. It's a blessing, girl. Let me tell you.
I know, they
When they're
left
finally
me,
ready
but
for you, it is a blessing when they leave.
I think that, and I think this is what I'm able to begin to discover who I am and what I like. Speaking even like, when Dawn, you were saying with your children, my years of raising them was whatever they liked or was into, was what I threw myself into, and that's what I, was all about. And so now, as having grown children gone, I'm trying to really discover, what does Andrea really like? What does, she want to do or not do, now that she has grown children doing their thing and doing their life. And so that's where I am, and I think the thing I'm looking forward to is discovering more each day who I am as this woman, this mother of grown children who don't need me like they used to need
Oh,
me.
girl, yes, they do. They ain't gonna tell you, but they do.
And and I'm looking forward to that whole experience of being a hands-on grandmother. That's what I'm
Do
looking
you
forward
have
to that.
grandchildren yet?
I have two grandsons, but they live in Texas. But Levi and his wife are expecting their first one in June, and I'm over the moon excited.
So I take it that she's one of your grandbabies coming up.
Huh?
This young lady in this picture right here.
The one with us?
Yes. Does she have anything to do with your grandbabies coming?
No.
Just an auntie.
Okay.
Just an auntie. Yeah, those are aunties.
Well, yeah, grandparent life is the best life in the world. I'd never trade it for anything.
Except me. So
Except
trade
for
it for me.
motherhood. I would trade for motherhood just to be a grandmother first.
All right, so the next question we got for you guys, and obviously you can answer them. Whoever wants to jump in and answer first can jump in and answer. It's kind of like a round robin kind of thing. But the next question we have is, oh man, I lost it. Goodness, sorry. Oh
okay.
goodness. Oh, how did you feel when you first found out you were pregnant, and why? It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Let it out.
Listen, we're gonna keep it real on this,
Well-
so let it out.
Dude.
I felt I was ecstatic, and that's because my husband and I were trying, to have a baby. And so when I found out that I was pregnant, I I don't know, I just couldn't contain myself. I was just very excited that I was finally going to be able to be a mother. I was going to have a baby that I was going to be able to love and nurture and to raise. I mean, I was scared as well because I didn't really know what to expect of being a mother. Even just the whole pregnancy process and the whole delivery process scared me beforehand. And then just the after fact, thinking of some of the after facts of, was I going to be a good mother? And was I really going to be able to take care of this baby and love this baby and give this baby what he needed? So I was excited and scared at the same time.
That's real. That's real. I feel like that's how I felt too. My husband and I were trying for probably almost 1.5 to 2 years to have a baby. So when I found out I was finally pregnant, I was just I can't, words can't explain it, because you have this pit in your stomach, you have butterflies at the same time, you're excited. I got very emotional and just started crying because to know that it finally happened. When you look on that pregnancy test and you see pregnant, like that is it. Your life is totally changed even from that moment, because you think about your body differently, you start seeing life differently. Even just that one word just changes everything. And I also felt fear because I had a miscarriage before I had my oldest daughter, and a fear did come in. And that was, so I was excited, and like Andrea said, I was excited and afraid at the same time. But then my faith kicked in the Lord, and it just wiped all that fear away, and I was able to enjoy everything of just being pregnant.
I remember feeling just hopeful
Mm-hmm.
when I saw that, because we have a similar kind of story. Christiana has really walked with me through pregnancy. We had a similar situation where my husband and I experienced a miscarriage with our first child. And so I was afraid to hope when it came to having our son Caleb. So when I found out I was pregnant again, Christiana had kind of walked me through before I even found out I was pregnant, what it would mean to hope again and to expect from God again. And so when I finally did see that, pregnant come on the stick, I was just like, wow, I feel like I had prepared my heart to hope again. And so I really did feel hopeful, and I felt so much joy. I was bawling my eyes out because I knew, okay, this is the fulfillment of the promise. I said, this is going to happen. And so I felt just like, I was over the moon, and I felt like I could see him in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like ready for the journey.
It's amazing.
I love it.
Ma, you want to go ahead and share?
I really don't know what to say, because when I found out I was pregnant for the first time, I had no clue. I went to the nurse's office. I was sick. I wasn't feeling good. And she sent me to this place called Planned Parenthood. And they said to me, "You're pregnant." And granted, I was 17 years old. And the mom that I had, that was not the right thing to hear at that time. So I have a lot of different emotions in reference to that situation, how it happened and how I was able to keep my pregnancy. So I really don't want to go further into it, but all I can say is my son was God's greatest gift to me. It taught me how to love not only myself, but to love someone else. And there was nothing in this world that I wouldn't do for this child. And I was a senior in high school, and there was a lot of things that I didn't experience. But being raised back in the day when you had old school parents and they didn't understand, oh yeah, well, Mom, I snuck out that night, because you wouldn't let me do this, you wouldn't let me do that. And I did, I got caught. And the very first time I had sex, I got pregnant. And for me to tell a mom that never taught me anything about that except to stay away from boys, I just felt like it was just a gift. It was just a gift to me to learn to love myself and to love somebody else with the love in return. I don't know if that makes any sense or not.
Oh,
That
yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, it makes
A lot
perfect
of
sense.
sense.
But I'm that baby. I'm that baby. Just for the record, that's
Amen.
me.
Amen.
That's me.
Amen.
I was definitely scared because there was nothing
Yeah.
else in this world that my mom wanted me to do but to graduate from high school. And I did do that, but I didn't get to walk across that stage because I was pregnant. And
Oh.
she held that against me. She definitely wanted to see that for me, and she didn't see that. But once he was born, I didn't even matter anymore. I didn't even matter anymore. So it was definitely a great experience. It's one that I'll never forget.
Mhm.
You got a question for him, Tuck?
Yes. How would you describe your mothering style? Who or what influenced this?
That's interesting. I looked at that question. I was like, well, I think it would have to be for me is defined in whatever stage and age of life my children were in. So, there was a stage in your lives I was probably in an authoritarian style. But then I moved into a democratic style with you all as you got a little older and a little bit, forging your way. And then now as mother to adults, I would look at it as like laissez-faire. Because I'm your adult kids and adult men. And so it's like, I don't know, but I think that some of my styling though, I think raising you all is I took maybe a little from my rearing, but not a lot of it, because as I got older and better and you do better, there was just some things like maybe I didn't necessarily agree with in my rearing. As Dawn said earlier, I came up in old school. I'm almost 55 years old, so yeah, I was back there in the day where basically, kids were seen and not heard. Kids didn't have, you weren't allowed to think. You weren't allowed to be a thinker. You weren't allowed to have opinions. You weren't really allowed to really express too much of your emotion. And so I knew that I didn't want to raise you and your brother that way. So I knew I made some changes there with you all because I wanted you all to be thinkers. I wanted you all to have a voice. I wanted you all to feel your emotions, and I wanted you all to be able to express to me your emotions and not beat you because you let me know that you were upset with me or you didn't like maybe in the moment whatever I was doing. So I know I took some things, just some things, but I think I tweaked a lot. Some of it was me just feeling it my way through the dark. You had to be the test, Levi. You were the test child because you were the first child. So I was just feeling my way through. Because I was left out there in these streets a lot on my own, to be honest with you, as far as to figure out really what it was, how to be a mother, like a really good mother. But you're a person who has influenced me is when Pastor Chris, who you call Auntie, came into my life when you were 2. And that's when she's the one who began to influence me as a mother and how to be a mother, and actually just started walking alongside of me and mentoring me and facilitating me and just modeling. Most of it was just me watching her and listening and being accountable. And so that's why, when she seen me when you were 16 years old and going through some things, and when she had to come and challenge me about this being the status quo with you, and how I had to, rearrange some things in my life with that. Some mothers may have got offended by that. But I didn't get offended because first of all, I knew that she loved me and she loved you, but I knew that she wanted the best for me. And so there were some things through the journey that, as motherhood, you have to tweak and you got to learn. But I would say she's the one who was definitely my biggest influencer of being a mother.
So in reference to like my biggest influence as being a mother, I learned that on my own. Me as a child whose mother left her in a hospital, that wanting nothing to do with her because of her race, I damaged my kids. Like my greatest accomplishment was my son because it was the first time I ever felt love in my life or whatever. But I really never had a mentor to guide me through being a teenage parent.
Mhm.
My mom that raised me, she never had her own children, so she did the best that she could possibly do. But I learned to be the mom that I am because of what happened to me as a child. I don't believe my son put me in this predicament, but I've never told my story, and I felt abandoned as a child. If your mother doesn't want you as a child, who else is going to want you? And when I did finally have my first child, I knew what it was love to be loved.
Mhm.
I knew like the feeling was unexplainable. I didn't know how to be a mom, but because I was abandoned from my mom, I learned how to be the best mom I possibly could.
Mhm.
I made different mistakes with each one of my children, but we live and we learn. And no matter what anybody has to say, being 17 and becoming a mom was a good thing for me because it helped me to grow. Because now I've raised my kids. My kids are fine. They are doing okay. And being a grandmom is the best thing that ever happened to me. I don't no longer have to worry about raising anybody to live for themselves.
Mm.
Because in this life now, if your children aren't prepared to live for themselves, then you did something wrong as they were growing up. And being a young parent with cousins and other people that didn't do the things that I did or didn't make the choices that I did, that did greater things than I did, my whole objective was if my 3 children graduated from high school, that was an accomplishment for me and them. What they chose to do after that was their choice. So I don't regret being a mom at 17. I just regret not knowing how
Mhm.
to be a proper mom at 17 and doing the best I could for my children to be grown. So I don't know if that makes any sense to whatever we're talking about, but I prepared my kids for the life that I didn't have, and it caused a lot of problems for us. But now I'm content with the life that my grown kids live.
Makes perfect sense. Who's next?
Oh, nice.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, I think for me, my mothering style, that was a tough one for me too, Ian. But because Caleb is so young, I'm more hands-on and, I'm planning activities and things like that. But then I'm also lately just really trying to strike this balance of, figuring out what his interests are and what he's curious about and kind of following that, letting him explore and just be. And I think the biggest, I have a couple of influences, I think, in terms of how I mother. But one, I think the biggest one is just God's spirit.
Yeah.
Speaking to me, I think that
Amen.
before Caleb even came, God spoke deeply to me about who he was, the type of young man he's gonna be, and kind of opened up my mind to how he created him to be. And so I think the way that I mother now is trying to stick to that and not stick to kind of how I want to, rear him or where I think he should go, what he should do, but really try to stick to, okay, what has God told me about this child? And, that kind of helps me so that when I see him acting out or I see him kind of yelling or speaking up, I'm like, okay, he's a leader. Okay, he's
Mhm.
strong will.
Mhm.
I use this will for you. And so it helps me to even kind of shape and mother him and not become overwhelmed by what I see in the moment. Um, Definitely heavily influenced by sorry, y'all. Definitely heavily influenced by my own mom, and just growing up with her. I have such a fresh perspective on just how she reared me now because I'm a mama now.
All
I'm
right,
now.
just to take a pause, I don't mean to, but I gotta go party.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so even with like, looking back at how my mom raised me, I have so much grace for her. My mama has gone on to heaven and I'm going to be celebrating her life on Tuesday, actually. So this is kind of a full circle weekend for me, actually. But she just so heavily influenced me and the woman I am today and the mom that I am today, that I look up to heaven all the time and I'm like, Mom, I'm sorry. I did not listen to you. I thought you were covering. I thought you were all up in my business. And now
That's
I'm like
real.
behind Caleb. And so, I'm heavily influenced by my mama, my aunties that raised me a lot too, that, everything is kind of coming full circle for me as I'm a mom now. And then similar to Aunt Ann, I've recently spent a lot of time with my mother-in-law, Pastor Chris, and I feel like she has taught me how to grace myself as a mom and to
Mm.
not get caught up in the
Good.
plans that I have for myself. And I think the reason that I have been able to kind of take so much of what she's given me is because I get to see the other end of the adult children that she's had. And when I came into the family and I would see like teenage grown boys and Janine, grown woman, wanting to spend time with her, being in the kitchen with her, listening to her, I was like, I want that with my kids. You know what I mean? I feel like when you have grown kids that want to spend time with you, you're able, like that's the goal for me. That's like for me. So I'm influenced by that too as a mom.
Yeah.
I feel like, my style is eclectic. But definitely the Holy Spirit is my greatest guide, because I don't know. And really my children they don't really belong to me. They belong to the Lord. So he has to guide me in how to mother them. And he's been faithful in doing that, because there are times I'm like saying, like, Lord Jesus, help. I don't know what to do, And he's been faithful every time to show me, you know what? I think you need to do this. You know what? She needs grace. Right now she needs love, or he needs love. Right now he needs to be disciplined. And so I'm flexing with that. But definitely my mom, she has influenced me. She did the best she could, and she loved us. She served us. She made amazing meals for us, and she's very supportive, and she gave us what she didn't have. And I'm trying to build on that. So there are things that I needed from my mom that I didn't get, and I'm trying to build on that. Definitely, like Jenny, my Aunt Debbie, who went to heaven, she was one of my influence. And this thing, she doesn't have any children. And I was like her surrogate daughter. She literally would mother me and my siblings and also my children. And she just, I don't know, she had this thing, man. She was just a mom.
Yeah.
She was just, and she just knew, and like I said, she never bore children, but she just knew certain things. And it was how she put it. She would influence me by saying things like, Chris, what do you think about? Or did you ever notice? And I'm like, you know what? I didn't. And she would bring these questions to make me think about things. And she used her influence that way. And definitely, Anne, she's an influence, because, she's my linebacker. She's a covering. She's actually my children's godmother. And she is a constant support for me. I had to call her a couple of times, like, this is going on and this is going on. And, she's challenged me too. She's really like hard stuff challenged me. Like, you know what? I think you're being too tough right now. Or you know what, some of this is some of your trauma kicking in. And she'll, she's a mirror. That's the thing. And your influences are mirrors sometimes that show you who you really are, so you can be better. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. It's my sister, because it's my daughter's birthday, so my sister's trying to connect with my
Happy birthday.
Okay, sorry. And another influence of mine is also Pastor Chris. I actually, outside of her being my Pastor Chris, I call her Mama, because that's exactly, she's like Mama. And there's some times where I'm like, I come to her with a concern, or I just need to kind of process some stuff, and she's really good at helping me with that. And all of the women I'm talking about are gifts to my life, but she helps me process some things. And also she helps me like grace myself. Like sometimes I'm really hard
Right.
on myself. And she's, you know what, you might need to rest. Did you eat today? Are you hydrated? Did you drink enough water? You look tired, And she and you know what? I didn't eat. I am tired. So she helps me grace myself, and she helps me be the spiritual authority in my children's life, how to pray over them, which is very important. How to pray, and discern things and things that they need. And she's an advocate for supporting me and my family, and I'm just really grateful. So I think my learning style is eclectic.
Yeah.
And I think
That's a
that's
good
the
word.
best way. You can't be rigid. You have to
Right,
flex, and
right.
you have to take good things and you make it into this one great thing along with your own personal style. And that's what being a good, to me, that's what being the, mom is.
Hey, girl, you got it already wrapped up.
I do.
You're going to be okay. You got your plan set in motion. You're going to be okay. And now you got two other people to help you with that motion. So
Thank you. I do.
I didn't
I'm
do it.
blessed.
I wasn't perfect, but I did a pretty good job. I did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
I could vouch for that because Ray turned out really good. He's always been a solid dude from high school on. So
Ray is the man. He has always been the man.
I love
All right,
Ray.
enough about me. It's about y'all today.
Ray, you
Oh,
funny.
it's not about
It's about
bragging on your
you
mom.
have an influence from a younger man, whether he be my son or somebody else's son, that is a positive role model for other people and that has other people's hearts and thoughts and spiritual minds. Like, you couldn't ask for a greater son. And I know I was blessed with this son when I received him, and he's still a blessing to me every day. All of my children are a blessing to me. We may have our battles, we may have our fights, but I knew the day my son was born and my mom named him Sunshine, I knew that there would always be a
that wasn't supposed to hit the airways. All right, moving on to the next question.
Sunshine.
I knew the day that this young man was born, even though I wasn't ready for it. I took on that challenge, and each child gave me a different challenge, but he's my ray of sunshine, and he always will be.
Yo, Chuck, don't ever use
No matter
that.
how dark my days get.
That's your new
He's
tag
my
name for the
sunshine.
podcast.
No, it's not going to be. That is my name.
I'm sorry.
No,
All right, Mom. I ain't gonna
Mom
use it.
said nope.
All right, I got.
That's
All
my
right, I got
name.
one. I got one for y'all. I got a question for y'all. All right, so you guys kind of spoke about it like throughout the couple questions that we've already asked, and if you can sum it up in a few words, how would you define motherhood? And I don't want the Webster Dictionary. I don't want that or Google search. I want your own experience on how you would define motherhood.
All I can do is say it saved my life.
Okay, that's good.
Motherhood saved my life. Without it, I don't honestly know what goals I would have now or what I can honestly say I accomplished. Motherhood saved my life. It was a challenge for me. It was something that once my mom passed away, it was something that I didn't think I could do by myself, but motherhood definitely challenged my freaking life. It was my greatest accomplishment, but my hardest obstacle to come over.
That's good. That's good. That's real good.
I think motherhood is when I think about motherhood, I think about sacrifice. I think about in some ways deliverance. It's almost like speaking like your mom saying, I think it's a deliverance that happens. It's a dying. There's some dying that happens, I think, to a mother, to herself and who she thought she was prior to having children, or how she was. And I think I've always have told Levi through the years and still tell him how, he was, I became a mother and he's the one who began to strip away my self-centeredness and because I couldn't be self-centered because he demanded and commanded my time and my life, and didn't allow me to sleep. There goes those naps, Janny. Didn't allow me to sleep. And I had to redefine and rethink and wait a minute, what is this? I'm so sacrificially, and then I began to give all of whatever I had to my child. And then when my second son comes, now I'm giving all I've had to between two children. And I just think it's sacrificial. I think it's a love. It's such a great gift that God gives, to be a mother. And I don't think you have to birth children to be a mother. And I don't, so
Yeah.
I don't believe that at all. I think anyone, I know a lot of women in my life who never had bore children, but they are the best mothers I've ever, met.
Yes.
And so it's like, it's a great honor and a gift that God gives to us. And I know that I haven't always appreciated it. And I know I've taken it for granted through the years of the gift of being a mother, but it's love, it's sacrifice. Like I said, it's deliverance in a lot of ways. Like, Dawn, you said a lot of having Ray would delivered you from a lot and healed you from some things. And I know Levi has healed me as my first child. He began to heal me from some of my traumas, from my past. And then my second son began to even heal me from some more things in my life and my journey. So I just think of motherhood really as love. I think it's an honor. It's a great gift. Um, and it is, and it's sacrificial.
And it's a
Yes,
struggle. It's something
it
that you
is.
don't get a book for. It's just something that you just learn over time.
Right. Right.
Um,
Whether it's right or wrong, you do learn how to do it. Go ahead, pretty girl.
thank you. I didn't want to forget. But motherhood is sacrificial. It is the nurturing. It is the caring. It is the loving. But listening to this question, the fact that I get to be who I wanted and needed, to me, that's what
Mm,
motherhood is. I just, there are things that I needed as a child that I did, I didn't get, and that's okay. Because the Lord made other ways for that. But I get to be that to someone else now. And then this is the
yeah.
thing, I get to be who I needed and more. So there are things that I wasn't even aware, that I needed or my children need. I get to be that. So I have my family wasn't really like touchy feely and huggy snuggy, and my children they are snuggle cuddles all day.
Yes.
So now I am snuggle cuddle queen. We get our blankets, we put our cozies on,
I've
we
never heard that one before.
and we
Snuggle,
snuggle.
cuddle, queen.
It's,
That's
it's one of our
wonderful.
it's one of our family words. We snuggle cuddle, and my daughter is almost as tall as me, and she's 10 years old. She digs herself down in me, and to me, just I get to be that for her. Like, even listening, and I talked all the time as a child. So it was like, be quiet. You always talking, sit down,
You only be seeing.
and
Yep. I
yeah, and
heard. Yep.
I have two daughters that are like that. Actually, all my children talk all the time, and now I get to listen. Like, really, that's how you feel. Now I wanted someone to listen to me, and now I get to listen. Why do you feel that way? What made you feel that way? Really, I never noticed that. And they're like, yeah, mom. And I'm like, wow. So it's
As
just,
long
to
as you keep
me,
that
that's
connection
what.
with your kids, girl, you'll be just fine.
Yes,
Motherhood is all about listening to what they have to say.
it is. It
You
really
learn
is.
that the hard way, but growing up as like in the old school or whatever, like you said, kids were supposed to be seen, not heard. But
Mhm.
nowadays, you need to hear your kids. You
You
need to listen to
do.
them. You need to know what is going on inside of them. And my
Mhm.
grandchildren, I'll tell you something. Some of the stories that I get and some of the things that they tell me, like you have to distinguish what's real and what's not real. But being a mom and listening to your kids and understanding what they are saying to you
Mhm.
is something I didn't do. But if that's the connection you have with your kids right now, girlfriend, keep it up.
And
Always understand what
I
they
want
have to
that.
say.
And I want to
Yep.
keep that, because one of my greatest things that I always tell my children, it doesn't matter what you have to tell me. I always want to hear it. And
And listen, yeah.
and we're, and another thing my husband and I are teaching our children, no matter what you do, we'll always love you. Because we don't want something that, say if something happens in their life that's big and they feel ashamed and they don't want to tell us, I don't care what you do. Come and tell me and daddy. Me and daddy won't be here and we won't work it out together. I don't care what you do. So I think having that and the listening and then the support, motherhood is about support, because I don't have all the needs. I don't have everything they need. One of the things I pray for
Go ahead, baby.
One of the things that I prayed for as a young mom, I prayed for gap fillers, because I knew I wouldn't have everything my children need. So Andrea is a gap filler. Pastor Chris is a gap filler. My Aunt Debbie Janie is a gap filler. She blessed my daughter's socks off with a birthday parade. I didn't think about that. So I think that's what motherhood is about. Supporting and being who you needed and wanted.
Right. But I'm learning the hard way. I didn't listen to my kids all the time. I provided for my kids. I did what I thought was right for my kids. The thing children need to be seen, not heard, is not a good thing. It really isn't. It's a respect thing, but to a certain point, because sometimes children do need to be heard. And if you don't listen to them and you shut them out, then you don't know what your children are going through. Because I have 2 other children other than Ray. Ray was just one of a kind. And my daughter, there's nothing else in this world like her, and she's going through her own thing, and my younger son's going through his own thing, and they have my grandkids. But I do know I didn't instill the best things in life for my kids, but I did instill listen to your kids. Try to listen to your kids, because their voice and their opinion means something. Because if you don't listen to them and it goes above your head, then it's something that you have to deal with. But you're already on that path, sweetheart. Listen to them. Let them voice their opinions to you.
They have a lot of them.
Yep, and they do. And because of the way we were raised, children are to be seen, not heard. That is a problem for the children in our society today. Because a lot of children have their own opinions and their own things that they want to say. And because we as parents or grandparents don't want to hear what they have to say, we tell them, look, talk about it later, this, that, the other, and we brush it to the side. But children's opinions and their values and what they believe are their morals are more important than anything we have taught them. And until we listen to what they say to us, we may not never realize what they're trying to explain to us. So whatever you're doing with your babies, I know you have Miss Andrea and Pastor Chris or whatever, but I'm here too. I raised 3 great kids.
So sweet.
If there's anything I can do to help you, you let me know.
That's so sweet. Thank you, Dawn.
You're welcome. And that's
so
Miss
sweet.
Dawn to you, young lady.
Hey, yo. Hey, yo.
Miss Dawn.
See, that's the old school too.
That's old school.
I'm
put past the old school to get into the new school.
pretty old though. I'm pretty old.
How old are you, young lady?
I'm 40.
Get the hell out of here.
Mom, watch your mouth.
All right, well, get the heckin' thing out of here. 40.
That's why I
like 25, 26
and that's why I said doing. I'm 40. I'm 40.
Okay, well, whatever you're doing, girl, keep doing it because you look good.
I'm 57.
Who said that?
Easy, Daddy, easy.
Really, Daddy? Really?
Andrea. Me and you
That's
about
why
on
she
the
my
same
sister.
page. Stop playing.
No, that wasn't me. I'm 54. I'll be 55 in July.
Hey, we on the same page, girl.
That's right. That's right. I'm here. I'm
She
here.
look like she's 25.
Don't she? She does.
I'm enjoying Mother's Day already.
Boy, oh boy. Jeffrey, did you answer already?
Not yet. I'll go next.
Okay.
Yeah. So motherhood to me is is a kind of some of what these mamas already shared. It's like this constant pouring out of yourself. I think it's one of the most vulnerable things I've ever done. It's humbling because motherhood is a very thankless job. You don't get like a thanks, mom, for changing this dirty diaper for the 3,000th time. It just doesn't exist. So you kind of have to reckon with, like what I am said, that place of continual sacrifice, and just giving of yourself. And I feel like through mothering and through motherhood, I have learned the most about God's love and it being unconditional and what that means. So like, there were times before I had Caleb where I would wonder, like, if I'm having a hard day, I would be like, is God thinking about me? Like, does he see what's going on? Does he care about what I'm crying about right now? Is it silly to him?
He sees everything.
Like, exactly. But like when I was in it, I just would have those kind of questions where I just felt far from him and I would wonder, like, is he thinking about me? That sort of thing. But like after having Caleb, it feels kind of silly almost to think about that, because there's not a moment in my day that I'm not thinking about Caleb. He could be throwing food in my face that I made him, that I spent time and money on to make. And like he's thrown it on the floor, and it doesn't mean that I'm not thinking about him anymore. I'm like so mad at him that I don't want to connect and be in relationship with him. And so I feel like motherhood has, for me, has shown me God's mother heart for me, that he is always checking for me. He's always thinking about me. He's always looking for my best and to give, all of him to me. And so that has really shifted my perspective a lot in terms of my relationship with God even. And it kind of shapes me as a mother at the same time, So good.
How many kids do you have, sweetie?
Just one, the 1-year-old Caleb.
Mm-hmm.
Well, everybody.
That's a good thing. One kid at 40, that's a good thing, girl.
No, she's a baby.
Got it mixed up.
No, she's a baby. She's a baby.
How old is she?
I'm 27.
She's 27.
You're 40?
I'm 40.
Christiana.
So who's 40?
Christiana.
I am.
Who is Christiana? I don't see nobody named Christiana.
She's right there.
Mom, you gotta swipe your phone. All right.
Oh, I see somebody else. Hey, I see you again.
Hi. Hi there.
Hi.
Technology, boy, I tell you.
She thought I was Jenny.
Right. So yeah, well that would make sense because you do look 25, Jenny.
Yeah, there you go. So
you're 27.
Right.
Whatever. Stop playing with my emotions.
So all of those definitions, man, they were great definitions. And I'm pretty sure our viewers or our listeners, however they get this podcast,
you're supposed to say hi, Mom.
They will definitely relate to
Mother's Day.
Mom, stop. They will definitely relate to the things that you guys expressed, or you women expressed, for the definition of motherhood. And I appreciate it just listening to you guys. Go ahead, Tuck.
No, I was just going to say, I wanted to throw the two last questions out there. One is kind of fun, and one is not even a question, is more so for you all just to kind of open up and just share with some of the viewers, some of the moms that may watch this. And it's important for men too. It's important for men that we hear these stories so we can get a better understanding, so that we can relate to mothers and just women in a better way. But the first question is, who's your favorite TV mom, and what qualities stick out the most about that?
Yo, bro, crazy thing is, I was about to ask that question too, but you got it. Go ahead.
Oh, I know who mine is.
I really like this question.
Claire Huxtable.
I really like this question.
You got Claire Huxtable? Okay.
Oh yeah, Claire Huxtable is definitely my favorite TV mom, because she had all her ish in order and her kids didn't play with her.
That's
Okay, I like that.
That was funny because actually, when I thought about it, I was like, well, Claire Huxtable is mine. She's mine too. And I just liked her. I thought she was pretty balanced.
Right.
I thought she was pretty balanced with her kids. with having a connection with them, a relationship with them. When she had to get tough, she got tough.
She put them in their place when they
You
needed
know,
to be.
she was an encourager. She was a nurturer in a lot of the ways. She didn't play, and I laugh because Levi, for years, and I mean years, has called me Claire Huxtable, and but he usually does it when some of the scenes when she's like got to get one of her kids, like, you better get over here, like when she's getting with her kids, and he'd be like, Mom.
She wasn't like NBC though. She was more like HBO, but we're not gonna talk about that.
Be quiet.
Don't hate because we like Claire Huxtable. She was the woman.
That's another podcast, Levi. So I just like, and like you said, basically I honestly, because, I'm like, okay, TV mom. And I intentionally was like, I need to identify a TV mom who looked like me. And it wasn't many of us. It wasn't many out there on the TV really for us, realistically. And I was like, but I really always just did enjoy Claire Huxtable.
I was about to say Cookie.
Out of pocket.
Oh, Empire. Is that Empire?
Out of pocket.
Yes.
Cookie lying. Hey.
She said Cookie.
Okay.
Claire Huxtable was my choice too, when I was reviewing the questions. She came right to mind. I like the Cosby Show. I grew up on it, but it was times when she was tired, she was working, she'd come home and cook dinner, she would get down and talk to her children. I really liked it. And then she did the fun thing. She would dress up and do fun things with him. But she had a standard of excellence, and she had a genuine heart for her children. Even when she had to get with them, it was okay, because the root of it is that she loved her children. And then she would go to bat for her children. Like, you could not come for hers, because
that was me. That was
she would be there to defend her kids, and even if she found that they were wrong, she'd be like, hold on, wait, I went to bat for you, So I did. Claire Huxtable was definitely.
And Raymond will tell you, I never had to go to the school for him because he was never wrong or whatever. But I tell you one thing, the first day I introduced myself to his principal, he was like, what's your son's name? And I told him, he said, I've never heard of him. That means that he was a good kid.
Yeah.
But those other two, woo, they knew their name.
Levi, I'm gonna head out right now. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead.
Nice. I was really not sure about doing this, but it was really nice. It really was. And
so, one more, Mom.
Yeah.
Jentra, who's your favorite mom off of TV?
We just did that.
No, not her. Not Jentra.
Jentra didn't answer yet.
No, my favorite TV mom is Beth Pearson from This Is Us.
Beth Pearson from This Is Us.
Yes.
She's a straight no chaser. Like, she's tell it like it is. She loves her family fiercely.
Yes.
And I love the way she listens to her.
I never even thought about her.
She's just so active in their lives, and she's just a strong Black mama today that we can see on TV. Because I feel like there's this gap, right, between like
Claire Huxtable and Beth, right?
There's still not a lot. Which is crazy.
That's true. That's true.
I appreciate her presence because she's so down to earth, and she loves her husband so well. She sees who he is beyond like the caricature of how even his family or the world sees him. And then she's just such a good mom, but they also show her that she has her own passions, and she's about her community, and so I really love seeing her thrive in all these different areas, and she's really balanced, and she doesn't take herself too seriously. So that's kind of who I strive to be too in my life. So she's like a good TV mom role model for me.
I love her.
We all went for the old school mom.
I love her too. I love her too.
I thought somebody was gonna pick somebody like Marge Simpson or somebody, but that's all right though. We'll take everybody else y'all pick.
No, that's all right. That's all right.
Lois Griffin or something. It's cool though. We understand. We understand. All right. So the last question. Oh boy. The last question I got for you ladies.
Lois Griffin.
That's Peter Griffin's mama. All right. So the last question I got for everybody: what is the best piece of advice you could give to someone who wants to or who is about to have their first child? The best piece of advice you got.
Don't do it.
Don't do
Mother's Day episode.
I'm joking. I'm joking. My thought on that is just make sure that you know that your first child is a blessing. It's a gift. Not everybody can receive this gift, and cherish it. Do all that you can do to nourish it, and make sure that this gift doesn't be taken for granted from somebody else. God gives us gifts for certain reasons, and certain reasons we don't even know. But God couldn't be everywhere. That's why he created mothers. So that's how I take it. Just because I tell you now, it changed my freaking life. It changed my freaking life.
Cool.
I think what I would say, what I always tell expected mothers or mothers in general is it's always a release, always releasing your child back to the Lord. Even when you're carrying your child and your child is in your womb, you feel it's nothing you can control. You have to give your child back to the Lord all the time. It's like a continual process. And it doesn't just happen like when they're born. It's an ongoing thing. It's an ongoing release, like all the time. So, when they start walking, you pray for their safety and you want to, I don't want you to bump your head, get a hickey. And then there's some things that you may see rise up. You pray about it and you release it right to the Lord. And it happens it's like over and over. You see something, just give it right back to the Lord. Oh, I saw this, right back to the Lord. Attitude, give it right back to the Lord. And it's an ongoing thing, and that you also don't have control. Just, when you're pregnant, you have no control. Right. So you can, you can diet, you can exercise, you can eat right. You have absolutely nothing to do with what's going on in your womb outside of being an incubator. The Lord's hand is doing everything, and there's nothing you can do. So just enjoy it. That's the thing. Just enjoy it. So you don't have to make fingers. You don't have to make toes. You don't have to worry about cognitive, awareness and how they're going to, develop language and speech. Just, you have no control. Right. In the moment that you think you do, you are deceiving yourself. So just and every time you feel the need to control, once again, it's a release. And I think that's what I tell women, and that's what I'm telling myself.
Amen.
Amen.
Real red.
Real rat.
Real red.
Well, for a woman that has 3 kids with 3 different personalities, 3 different ways of lifestyle, this was a wonderful experience, and I'm still on my journey, even as an adult mom or whatever. But without my grandkids, this journey would be over. Without my grandkids, my journey would be over. But it has been an experience, and it has been life-changing, because if I would have waited until I was older to be a mom, I don't think I would appreciate it as much as I do now, because I'm a mom, my children are older, and I can appreciate it. If anybody understands what that means. Like, I do. I appreciate being a young mom now, because they're all grown up, and I can appreciate being a mom. And a wonderful grandmom, because my grandkids are the
Alrighty.
best of the whole entire world.
Alrighty. It's not about the grandkid. Yeah,
Danny,
it's not about the
you wanna
grandkid. Who's next?
Jenny, wanna go? Go ahead, baby.
Yeah, I definitely heard what you were saying, Chris. That was the piece of advice that she gave me that I still hold on to today. That you have to give your child back to the Lord. So that's been huge in my life. But I would say, in addition to that, is enjoy like the messy middle of life.
That's so good.
There's so much in us that makes us want to look forward, and that's good. Like, we should be looking forward and being hopeful, but not so much so that we can't enjoy what's happening in the present. And it's so funny now that I'm a mom, I'm like watching kid shows like now. And so just this morning, I was having a little bit of a rough morning. I've been missing my mama, y'all. And so I was just like, oh, like, Lord, it's a kind of a tougher morning. And me and my sister were downstairs, and Caleb was watching this show called Daniel Tiger. And Daniel Tiger he is just from the Lord. And they're singing this song where they're saying, enjoy the wow of now. And we were like, Daniel Tiger, you better preach, because it helps us really, like it gave me the reminder that I needed, that there is wow going on right now, right around me, and that if I am too caught up in the future, or what I'm, even what I'm visioning about, or my dreams or whatever, that I might miss some of the messiness of life right now, but really the beauty of life right now. And so I really would say that to an expecting mama, or somebody who wants to be a mama, is just, even before you have your child, enjoy the those moments of your life now, because you'll never get them back. Like, sleep as much as you can, but just as those moments go, to just savor it and soak it in and enjoy that moment.
Good.
And definitely, I think some of my advice definitely would be for a woman who would like to have a baby. I would say begin to pray for your child now.
Yes.
Before the child is even within your womb, begin to pray and seek the Lord for who your child is and is going to be, and there's no detail too small or too big for the Lord to handle. And during the pregnancy, continue to pray over your child. And as Chris and Janie spoke about, releasing your children back to the Lord, because they're not ours. The Lord loans us these children. And so we have to give them back to the Lord and trust God with them, because God raises them. He just uses us as a vessel, but he really raises our children. And definitely what Janie was just speaking about, the moment, being in the moment. And I know through some of my journey with raising my two sons, there were moments that I just wasn't in, because I was so concerned about tomorrows. And I was so concerned about the months ahead, that there were just times that, I know I wasn't in, because there would be times every now and then my husband would always challenge me and say, you have to enjoy them now, because there's going to be a day that they're going to be grown and they're going to live their life. And so he would bring me back from time to time, because I would get caught up in the tyranny of the urgent while raising them. And so my advice to any young mother, parents, enjoy the moments and don't sweat the small stuff. Don't sweat the dirty clothes are piling up, or maybe the toys are all over the place, or maybe the child in the moment is wearing mismatched clothes. Don't make that a big deal, because it's not that deep. Enjoy the child's creativity and difference, and not try to be controlling, because I was very controlling. I have control issues, but but just really soak it in the moment of these children, and giving a lot of your life into them. Because once they're old enough and they're on their own, but there's so much we can pour into our children and love them, and take the time out just to laugh, and just see who they are, the difference in the children. You can have 3, 4, 5 children, and all your children will be very different. And so take the time to get to know each of them and who they are, and just enjoy it. And don't think you're a lone ranger. You have to speak up. You have to share. When you're struggling, reach out to that person. Who's your person? But reach out to somebody to help you, that will walk alongside of you, that will share with you some of the angst maybe you're going through, because somebody's been there. And so don't think you're alone, mom, and particularly when you're sleep deprived and you're delirious and you just don't know what's going on. You're exhausted, and you don't know. You think you're going crazy. Reach out to another person who's already been a mother before you. Don't do this within a vacuum. This life is meant to be walked alongside of. Trust me. And so that's the things I would, say. And then don't get discouraged so easily. And don't be so hard on yourself. As we spoke earlier about, one of the things Pastor Chris was very good with us, is to teach us how to grace ourselves. Don't be hard on
Yes.
yourself. Don't be hard. And there's no such thing as a perfect mother.
Yeah.
So get that out
So
your head
good.
now. Get that out your head now, because you're going to make mistakes. You're going to
Mhm.
make mistakes with your children. It's
And that's
okay.
crazy because that's what I thought. I thought I was going to be the perfect mom.
Yeah, and to that, it's no such thing as a perfect mom, and you want to make mistakes, shake it off, move on, redo it, whatever, fix it, keep it going, and one day you'll look back on it and you'll laugh.
Yeah. You
Wow.
remind me of that all the time, because I'll be like, you remind me of that literally. You remind me of that all the time. Be kind to yourself.
Be kind to
Well,
yourself.
then I guess I have a
Mhm.
problem because I've always wanted to be the perfect mom, and they say there is no perfect mom, and still to this day, I try to be the perfect mom. So I guess I have to learn what, like, there is no perfect mom, like the difference between it or whatever. Because even though I know there's no perfect mom, I still try to be the perfect mom. And my kids are grown.
And you know what I do when I mess up, because Lord knows I've messed up through this
Mhm.
whole journey, and I still can with my even grown children. What I do is I apologize to them. I just go to
Very
them and I
powerful.
apologize to them. I said, you know what, I'm very sorry for XYZ. I just had to do it in January or February with my youngest son, and he's 27 years old. But there were some things he shared with me that I hurt him. I hurt his feelings in the moment. And once he shared it with me, I said, I'm so sorry. I apologize for that, because I'm controlling and I want to be controlling. And sometimes I overstep my boundaries with my grown children. But I go back when they check me, in their loving way. I do turn around and I say, you know what, I really apologize and I was wrong for that.
Yeah. I think we also have to remember that we're literally doing the best we could do. You
Right.
know what I mean? And we have to remember that whatever we're giving to our children is the best. You see what I'm saying? So if I'm really tired and I can't cook that perfect dinner, but I can make a mean peanut butter and jelly sandwich, what? That's the best I could do. And set that thing up with some milk and animal
Mhm.
crackers, that's the best I could do. Now,
Right.
when I
Mhm.
have a nap and I have more energy, you can get the spaghetti, you can get chicken Alfredo. You see what I'm? But I'm doing the best. You have to do the best that you can do,
Yes.
and be
Yes.
kind to yourself and really grace yourself. And I think that when we do that, our kids, we can really be a blessing to our children.
But how can you be a blessing to your children when you think that everything that you have done for them is the best? Like, I sacrificed everything for my children, and I blame it on the abandonment that I received being leaving in the hospital by my mom or whatever. But how do you sacrifice everything for your children and think that you are the perfect mom and then find out that you weren't? You really were not the perfect mom, because there
It's
is no perfect mom.
No.
No
it
matter
is
how
no
hard
it.
you try to be that perfect mom,
I
there
think,
is no perfect mom as much as you want to be.
and that's okay. I think the thing is to be okay with that. That you're right.
I'm
There is
not.
no that, but the thing is that comes with, and I hear you doing that comes with, and what I hear is that you have your heart. You want the best for your kids, and you gave the best to your kids. And the thing about it is something I sense is something in you where you need to release and forgive yourself. Like you've done the best that you could do. Look at your son. Your fruit is sitting right in front of you, very successful. He's whole. He is facilitating this conversation, this discussion very well. And this is the fruit of your labor and what you did. So you have to, there's some areas of where your life where you have to forgive yourself and let yourself off the hook, because you've done a good job. You got grandbabies. Grandbabies, they're fruit. That's good fruit. Guess what? You get to do it all over again. Spoil them
And what is
grandbabies,
the
love
best
on
mom?
them, and support their parents. That's the best. And you giving your best, that's the best. You being Dawn and all of who you are and loving, supporting your parents and loving your grandchildren, that's the best of who you are. And you're really blessed double because you not only had kids, but you got grandkids and you get to do it over again and then be a support to your children. You're knocking it out the ballpark. Like, you get to do that. Everybody don't have that. And thank you. I almost called you your nickname, but I'm not going to do that because I'm
my
saying
nickname.
it.
It's my nickname, young boy.
No, I'm talking to Phil. I'm talking to
Don't call my baby
Ray.
Sunshine.
But I
We're
want
not
you to
doing that. We all
remember that. I want you to remember that, Dawn. A part of you being kind to yourself is forgiving yourself and understand that you did the best you could do and that you're still doing it. The way you lit up when you talked about your grandchildren, I wish you could see your face. Look at you now.
Let's go back to the YouTube and watch it.
You see what I'm saying? Because
Yes.
this is a part of your fruit. And I want you to enjoy that because sometimes don't let that.
Whoever you are, you need to come to my house for dinner. I love you.
Because I really see it, Dawn, and I
Yeah.
don't want you to miss this. I don't want you to miss this because sometimes we have our own head talk and it's negative and we beat up on ourselves. We can't enjoy what the Lord has blessed us with. And the fact that I don't want you to miss that. Enjoy those grandbabies, support their parents, love on them, give them all the treats and send them home.
Right.
And you get to do
Send
it
them home.
again. Grandkids.
And as long as you, Dawn, you said it, you was like, you realize there's no such thing as a perfect mom. There you go.
That's it.
There you go. And if
I'm
you got to
not
remind,
perfect.
if you got to tell yourself that 30 times a day, oh, that's right. There's no such thing as a perfect mom. Let me move on. Oh, that's right. There's no such thing as a perfect mom. Let me move
That's
on.
right.
And you know what? There's nothing else worth living for other than my grandkids right now. And it is what it is. I love my grandkids. I take my last breath and tell them, no, I give them my last breath before I told them I love them because they would know.
Yeah.
So it's like my kids already know how much I love them, what I sacrifice for them. But my grandkids, like, they help me breathe. If it wasn't for them, I would have given up 10 years ago.
And grandmoms are the best. Let's keep it 100, okay?
And
Grandmoms are
I
absolutely
believe
the
that.
best.
I believe that I am the best, but my grandkids are my life. Everything I live for now is because of them and nothing else.
And just think that they get to hear you. It's like recorded that this will never go away.
Right.
That you're telling them right now, 10 years from now, they can look and say, my mom, what do they call you? My mom, grandma?
Nope.
Gigi?
They call me Shuggy.
They call you what?
She about to be smart. She about
No,
to be
I like that.
I like it. I like
I
Shuggy.
like that.
I like that.
Shuggy.
I like
That's
that.
adorable. That is they're gonna say, look at Shuggy. I was everything to Shuggy.
Right. Right.
Shuggy said she would give her last breath.
Right.
You know, the breath to tell me that she loved me. And this is the thing. This is your legacy.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's being recorded right now.
It's your legacy.
Raymond, I'm gonna kick your ass, Raymond. Just so you know, I'm gonna kick
Watch
your
your
ass.
mouth. All right. Anyway, goodness. Hey, just for the viewers, this is a family-friendly podcast. I do apologize.
Yo, it's like
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I put my shirt on like I do. There's nothing in this world that I would not sacrifice for my freaking grandkids. Nothing. And I love you ladies. I just met you, but this has been an experience for me.
This has been wonderful.
Absolutely
I'm not the
wonderful.
perfect mom. I'm not the perfect Shuggy, but guess what? I
You're
do anything
Shuggy.
for my kids or my grandkids.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Miss Dawn. I gotta say Miss Dawn.
You gotta say Miss Dawn. You the baby. You gotta say Miss Dawn. You not up there with us. You not on our level. You gotta say Miss Dawn.
Leave her alone.
Well,
But I do. I love hard. I really do. I love my kids dearly, but I would sacrifice them for my grandkids any day.
Bye,
all
Ray.
right. Well, on that note,
Bye, Ray.
So I truly appreciate you ladies getting on with us today, and chopping it up with us about what motherhood is, because obviously Levi and myself, being men, we couldn't talk about the things that you ladies talked about today. So we just thank you for your knowledge. We thank you for your experiences. We thank you guys for being transparent. And that's what I had to say to you. Go ahead, Lee.
And I just want to close out and say to you all, thank you as well. And I appreciate you all. Just the impact that you all have made as mothers is already felt. And just what you've done for your children will run around the world, right? So just remember that as you're raising your children, as you have already raised children, the legacy, like Christiana brought up, is out here in the world, and we're making an impact on the world. People will see this video and it will uplift them. It will help them to get over some things that they've been stuck with, and they'll be able to move past them. So we really just appreciate you coming on. To the mothers who are tuning in, we thank you, and all your hard work is not unseen. You are seen. At the very most, you are seen by God himself.
Yes.
That is your true reward. But I'm sure you are seen. And also all the men, all the fathers out there, please acknowledge the mothers' hard work. Absolutely. Your day is coming, but tomorrow is not your day.
Ain't that the truth?
Mother's Day. But don't be trying to put it on just to your kids, because they had your children too. So I don't care if you with the mother or not.
That's real rare.
Thanks to the women that had your children, because if it not been for them, your children wouldn't be here. You wouldn't have another generation of people to be out here in this world and leave a mark on this world on behalf of your family. So I just wanted to say that. I wanted to say happy Mother's Day again to all of you all here. I love you all. And I want to briefly say, set aside before I do the real closeout, happy birthday to Danielle.
Yeah.
You know, she came out here and tried to get on the camera.
I want to say something too.
She came out here, she was dying. I said, honey, you gotta wait. It's deep right now. This is deep.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just want to say happy Mother's Day to myself. And thank you, Sunshine, because this was an experience for me, and it's a Mother's Day I'll never forget. And
Amen.
I love you to the moon and back, and you know that, and you're a blessing to me and everybody else.
I love you too, Mom.
Everybody have a happy Mother's Day.
And Dawn, I'm definitely, you're a person now that I'm adding to my prayer. I'll be praying for you.
It was so nice to meet you, Dawn.
Yes, I'm glad to meet you.
Miss Dawn to you, Christina.
I'm 40.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
I'm grown.
She got you. She got you too.
Well, with that said, we're going to go ahead and sign off. We're going to go ahead and sign off. This is episode 4 of the Fresh Perspective Podcast. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please be on the lookout for more content coming your way. We love you all. There's nothing you could do about it. Shout out to my bro, James Mozan, for that one. And
yes, James. Hey.
There it is.